did want to ask you about the library because, I think that's one of the things that the Fenty administration has tried to orchestrate is a renovation, modernization of our libraries as well as our schools. And for instance, the Benning Road Library, which opened up a couple of months ago, and now we've got a new library coming at 7th and Rhode Island, the Shaw Library, and those are beautiful facilities.
Yeah.
How many libraries do we have in Ward 6, and do we have enough? And apparently not. So what would you do about trying to get libraries modernized or built?
I think it's important. Again, what I want to do is look at a comprehensive library system and determine, looking at the entire ward, whether or not we've got them located in the right places. To the extent that we've got development occurring, like I said, in all quadrants of the ward, the question is, do we have enough library capacity in order to assist that? And you'd also link those library opportunities with schools, with recreation centers. So it's an overlay of things that we've got to do in order to make those things, to make a comprehensive system occur. I think it's really important to do that. Much like we're a little off track, but still the same thing. Last night I was at a session talking about transportation and the circulator. Looking at where services are being provided and where they're not, and whether or not circulator ought to be expanded. Well, circulator, we know, is a DC-funded transportation bus system. I don't think it was ever intended that DC end up with a bus system that it would run itself. When we've got Metro and we've got Metro bus system and that sort of thing. So just like if you're going to expand circulator, you need to look holistically at the entire transportation system to determine how people are getting around and whether or not we have access points. Much like the library system, you got to look at holistically the library system, including the schools, including the recreation locations, to determine whether or not we've got the right distribution where the communities are located.
Okay. So you would, again, advocate that there be public libraries, and of course that includes internet access, kiosks, or computers, etc.
Yeah, I mean, where I want one is at Rosedale Recreation Center. I think that they've got enough land there. They've got that's where the community would like to have one. And you do a library plus a recreation center, all of a sudden you've got critical mass. And I think a good functioning community resource that would serve that community exceedingly well. I'm talking about opportunities to increase literacy and a whole lot of other things that could be offered out of that location.
Okay. Coming up in the next 3 months, we've got an election. And you have done what needs to be done in terms of getting out and meeting people. What's the biggest issue that's come up amongst the folks that you've spoken to about what it would take for them to elect you? Has there been any one particular thing that seems to be priority?
No, I mean, listen, there's always power in the incumbency. And the only thing that folks seem to be talking about is, he's the incumbent.
Okay, so what?
Right. That's been my point. And the question is, how's that working for you? And when folks get that question, they start to think about it. They figure, well, it's not quite working as well as I would like it to work. And they start citing things like bag tax and parking fees and things that, like I said, don't really impact their daily lives.
But that's not just a Ward 6 problem, though, is it?
It may not be just a Ward 6 problem, but Ward 6 residents are certainly impacted by it, and to the extent that the focus has been on those items and not on others, is a concern.
Okay, but still, I want to get more to the idea of what is it that you are bringing to this. And I understand, again, your ideals. I think your ideals are very noble and make a lot of sense, but I still don't understand what is going to change in the process. You said, and I think I'm quoting you by saying that Ward 6 is not going to look any different. There have been some things that have been built, whatever has been built is probably going to stay there. we got a trolley program, for instance, that you said that you're supporting.
Well, what you know, will it look any different? No, we will still have all of the various different neighborhoods that we've got, because that's just who we are as a ward. We're a microcosm of the city. What will be different is that we'll have increased foot patrol. We'll have more police officers walking the beat, and we'll be engaging them in a much more different way, in my opinion. I think it'll be safer for folks to engage each other, and juvenile crime will be reduced. I think we will have more resources than we have today for the renovation of our schools and recreation centers.
Okay.
Right now, we're dead last. I mean, the Post reported that out of the monies that were provided for schools and recreation activity and libraries, Ward 6 ranked dead last among the wards in terms of the resources it was receiving. And that's troubling to me.
So is that something about the way that the budget is being done?
Absolutely it is.
How many folks live in Ward 6, do you think?
Well, they live in Ward 6. It's
Yeah.
about 60,000 or so.
Okay, and what's that as a percentage of the city? Maybe 1/10 the city?
Yeah,
somewhere in that relatively
that's
area?
about right. Yeah.
Okay, so are you getting 1/10 of the resources?
Well, let me put it this way: when we received, less money than Ward 3, who received the most money, recognizing that Ward 3 is much more affluent than any other part of the city. They probably are a ward that could use that money the least when you look at other portions of.
They're probably demanding it the most
right.
aggressively.
Exactly. My point. It's exactly the point I'm making. And so the only way that we're going to be able to demand a greater share of our resources is if we have the right leadership that's getting us to work together to demand that be the case.
Okay, so what do you want money for besides the libraries and police? You're going to have to increase. You just simply said right now that you want more foot patrols,
right?
And not on segways, right? I mean, walking.
You know something.
Would be nice.
I want them out of their cars. I want them visible. I want them accessible. I want them being able to interact with individuals. I want them to know who the individuals are on particular blocks and neighborhoods. That's what I want. It's hard to get to know somebody if they're riding by in a car with their windows rolled up, riding through in a police cruiser. It's different when you're on a bike. It's different when you're on on foot. It makes sense to have that kind of presence in a neighborhood.
Okay, so let me just make sure I understand you. Definitely going to hire more police.
Yes.
Okay. Period.
Yes.
I don't know how many more, but you're going to hire more.
Yeah.
All right. Definitely going to ask for money for new libraries and renovation of the library.
Yeah. Let me just say this. I mean, before we start talking about monies being provided, I think that sometimes what you have to do is determine what your strategic priorities are, and then reorient your budget.
Okay, reallocation.
That's right.
Okay, so where's the money coming from?
Well, I mean, that's what we're going to have to determine. We're going to have to together, collectively decide which things are much more important for us. I believe, based on the things that I'm hearing from Ward 6 residents, that crime is an issue, and we need to put more resources into reducing crime, especially juvenile crime. Well, okay, if we do that, that might mean that we might have to do something different with parking fees. We may have to eliminate,
Okay, something different with parking fees, meaning what?
Meaning that if look, part of what we have to do is if we want economic development in a community, you don't put parking fees in or extend parking in economic corridors that are creating resource for the city. You want to facilitate people coming there, and to the extent that they want to drive from other locations to get there and create a destination spot, then you want to facilitate their ability to get there. Okay. So you may want to do something different with parking fees.
Okay, what does that mean though?
That means you may want to get rid of them, roll them back, so that folks don't get taxed and discouraged from coming to a business corridor that you're trying to grow.
Okay.